Hello, welcome. Happy New Year. It's 2025. What are we reading and how?
Bibliosophie.
So yes, it is early January. A lot of videos are coming out about 2025 reading goals, reading intentions, however you want to think of them. I'm not a huge subscriber to a new year, new me mentality, but I also like a new beginning. I could use a new beginning. I like a fresh start. I like the start of school, etc. So it's fun to have some projects. Will I actually follow up on all of these projects? I already know I shall not. I don't even intend to. These are some ideas percolating in my mind and in my notes app that I'm going to share with you. On the larger, broader front, what are my intentions in reading? They are the same as they have been for a few years, which is to read as deeply as possible, both in terms of the required reading I have to do. I have been very delinquent in my thesis writing. If you don't know, I am currently getting a doctorate, and in the past semester, I have done zero work. This is okay. I am going to start that up again. I feel like I can. So I will ideally be doing more required reading once again. But even in my non-required reading, it is my hope to have as deep an understanding, a personal understanding, and as kind of motivated an understanding of the texts that I have a relationship to as possible. And that includes talking about books to you, to people in my life, to people in texts, writing about books, rereading books. So all of the things that I have already been doing, I want to keep doing. I am toying with the idea of trying to make a webbing network of allusions that I find in books. I don't think I will actually follow through with this. It has always been my dream to do this. Every book mentioned in a book I'm reading, to note it down and not necessarily follow up on it, but at least to note it. This will get extremely onerous extremely quickly. So I already see myself not doing this. I have tried in the past to do this, but maybe I can do it imperfectly. This is also a thing that I want to keep doing, is to do things imperfectly, to take notes imperfectly, to make lists imperfectly, to highlight imperfectly, to remember imperfectly, but at least to try to have some deep understanding and sometimes fall short. I will continue to write about the things that I'm reading. I would like to publish more about the things that I'm reading. I created a book club Substack in 2024, and then that fell off the rails for various reasons, and I will resume it. So look out for some Clarice Lispector thoughts this month. I am making that a goal for myself. I had good reasons to fall off the rails and some bad reasons as well. I would like to write for myself more stupidly also. I think I am too prone to get caught up in details. And so once again, to do things badly, to write more pages and allow them to be only okay, to judge them less as I write them, and maybe go back to them and edit them. I want to learn how to edit more this year, and that I think includes creating more, and creating more sometimes badly. I don't tend to have to do too much big editing. I am good at killing my darlings, but usually the rough material that I come up with tends to be relatively good because I do so much thinking and overthinking before even setting anything down. So I would like to do a little bit more underthinking in some situations and just letting things flow out of me more. Updates on that in probably a video to come. Stick around. So yes, the theories around my intentions in reading kind of remain the same. What specifically or semi-specifically do I actually want to read? I have some classics that I want to get to or get back to. First up is The House of Mirth. I made a video last year of 10 classics I wanted to read in 2024, and I read, I think maybe about half of them. So that's fine, that's a beautiful failure. At least I read half of them, and House of Mirth was on that list. I would like to actually get to it. Alyssa is making this year her Edith Wharton year, and so I figured I would jump on that train. It's a perfect time. She's starting in January and February with The House of Mirth, and so I'm going to join in and I'm going to actually finally read it. I've been meaning to read this novel for quite a while, so that's kind of first on my list. Returning to some Simone de Beauvoir, I wanted to read more Simone de Beauvoir last year, and I read some goodly amount. I want to read more. I had mentioned in previous videos wanting to read the next of her memoirs, La Force de l'Âge, The Prime of Life, in English, which is the second of her two memoirs, and I've started it. I would like to read that in the first couple of months of the year. I would also like to read finally one of her novels, which I've never read. Probably Les Mandarins, The Mandarins, which is quite long, but we'll see. I have read only a trio of her short stories, La Femme rompue, The Woman Destroyed, which I liked. I like her writing style, and so I've always wanted to actually read her fiction. Maybe this year I finally read one of her novels. Aha! I want to reread Dead Souls. I have 2 copies. I think I found this English translation in the street. I read Dead Souls as a teenager in high school, and I liked it, and I have not revisited it since, and so I wanted to do so. I don't remember which translation I read last time. I read it in English last time. I don't think it was this translation because I think this is new. I also have it in French. I might read it in French. I tend to prefer to read Russian literature in French. We'll see, maybe I'll do a little bit of both. I also do like to tend to do a little bit of combo when I read things in translation. I may or may not read some Montaigne this year because I basically have never done so, or extremely minimally. This is an idea. Will I actually read him? I don't know, but this is an idea. The next 2 are sort of similar and also include some possible other branching ideas. I would like to revisit some truly older literature, and especially older kind of poetic literature, epic literature. I would like to reread some Dante. I reread a couple of excerpts of good God, L'Enfer, Inferno. Do we call it Inferno in English? Yes. Hell? Yes. The Inferno. Sorry. I reread just a few excerpts of the Inferno in December, and this is, I have read the entirety of the Inferno before. I've never read the entirety of Paradise and Purgatory before. I'm not going to reread all 3. I will probably only reread Hell, if even that, but I would like to reread it. I would like to reread at least parts of it in Italian as I did the first time, and just have a relationship to older writing. I would love to reread maybe some ancient literature. I have not read Latin literature and Latin poetry in years, and this was such a huge element of my life before. So I might reread either some epics, probably in translation. I think my Latin is quite dusty at this point. I have a huge Latin library that you never see because it's in another room, but I don't think I'm going to be going back to translating Virgil anytime soon, but I would like to maybe reread some Virgil, reread some Ovid, reread some Catullus. I would maybe like to reread the Greeks, new translations of, Homer. Everybody loves the Iliad. It's been a really long time, and I think it would be nice to go back into those larger epic forms. I would like to read more Persian poetry this year. This is something that I have barely read in general and not for a very long time. So medieval poetry, ancient poetry, things that are well over 500 and ideally 800 years old is kind of one of my plans this year. Give me some Rex that you particularly love if you want. That's a dangerous well to open. That's not dangerous dam. I don't know. Insert saying here. I'm not always very, very good with idioms. I may or may not want to finish my Clarice Lispectors this year. There are 2 more novels of hers, which I have not read, The Chandelier and The Apple in the Dark. I have just ordered them in English. I have one of them. I have The Chandelier in French as well. Yeah, maybe in the next 12 months, I finally finish all of her novels. These are the 2 of her novels which I am looking forward to the least. But I love her, and it is a plan of mine to be a completionist about her work. So those might be on the near horizon. On a similar note, this year might be the year I finish all of Toni Morrison's novels. I have 3.5/4 of hers left. I have read them almost in chronological order in the past couple of years, read and reread them. So Paradise I've read about half of before and I never finished it. That's the next one that I would be reading. I still also have A Mercy, Home, and God Help the Child. And yeah, I ordered the last 3. A Mercy, Home, and God Help the Child. They are coming to me. I don't own Paradise, but I can find it or also get it from the library. I would like to own it. And I'd like to finish my Toni Morrison novel Completionism because she's one of my favorite authors. Moving out of the more classics-y realm, although Toni Morrison is sort of in between, I would like to finally get to Han Kang this year. This is not a novel idea. A lot of people are trying to read her, of course, and with good reason. And I've been meaning to read her for several years. So 2025, I'm going to read at least one of her books. She comes highly recommended by so many people, and people that I respect and that I am going to listen to. I have an arc of her most recently translated short story collection, which comes out in January. So I would like to get to this, but I would also like to read at least one of her novels this year. Tell me which one I should start with. I already have some recommendations from various people as to which one should be the first one that I read, but let's crowdsource some more recommendations. Yes, this is the year I finally read her. Books from my Storygraph to read pile. I no longer tend to put things in my Storygraph to read list, but a couple of years ago, I did a lot of that as a means of tracking things that interested me. Now I tend to be a little bit more aleatoric in how I keep track of that, but I would like to go back over some things that interested me 2 years ago. Some things will no longer interest me, of course, and some things I guess if I've read them, they would have been removed. But in any case, I would like to go back and see, oh, yes, of course, in 2022, I thought that this would be very interesting, and I was right. It should be very interesting. If you want to help me out, go to my Storygraph, go to my to read pile, tell me what you think I should read in that pile. It's very erratic and very inconsistent because, of course, it's very algorithmic. And so it's very much in spurts of, oh, yes, sure, yes, that. But yeah, help me out. Tell me what I should read in that pile. I realized this morning that I have read almost all of Elena Ferrante's books. There are just 3 which I have not read. La Frantumalia, which I was planning to read soon anyway, which is on writing. And I've not read The Lying Life of Adults, nor have I read The Beach at Night. I don't know if I'm going to read The Beach at Night, but I would like to read the first 2. So maybe this year I finish off my Ferrante completionism as well. And then I am going to try to join the Ben Read Goods challenge. We'll see. I don't tend to do very well with reading challenges. I'm a lone horse. I cannot be contained in my reading. I do things my way. It's not quite strictly true, but I've just not really signed on for challenges, and he charmed me. So I officially signed on Storygraph as a participant in that challenge. Savage, I don't know if I've got it in me to do 2 challenges, so I'm not sure if I can do 2 prompts per month. But Ben put out his challenge in December, and I thought, okay, why not? I have already a few ideas. In January, the challenge is to read something by an author whose name is Anne, and I have 2 possibilities. I would like to read Anne Boyer, The Undying. That was already in my plans for the year, and so that might be what I use. Or I would love to read another Aniyah. I don't know which one yet. I've read about a handful. I have all of them, or almost all of them. Tell me which one I should read. You don't know which ones I've read, but tell me which one is your favorite, and maybe I've already read it, but tell me in the comments which Aniyah I should read this month. Maybe I'll do 2 Annes. Maybe I'll do Anne Boyer and Aniyah. In February, I've picked already Alice at the Fire by Jon Fosse, which is quite short, and I meant to read it last year anyway. It has a flame on it. That's the challenge. Anyway, I already have several books in place for those prompts, including a couple of rereads, also including a couple of things that match up with my goals anyway. So March is the 3rd month. March, I think, is 15 letters in the title challenge, and I am picking one of the Morrisons, God Help the Child, for that. Ideally, I will have finished the previous 3 before then, so that also kind of gives me a deadline. We'll see. May is a reread month, so I'm thinking maybe of reading Dante then, or reading Gogol then, because those are rereads. I think probably July is translation, and that's why I put Lispector as a possibility then. June is forgiveness month, I think, if memory serves, based on what I have written for myself. And so there it is a classic, which I said I would read last year, and I feel a bit guilty about not having read it, especially because I own it and it's quite short and I'm quite interested in reading it. Une si longue lettre. So I will, if I haven't read it by June, I will read it in June. I want your help for November, which is No Comfort November. I think I'm going to finally read a piece of historical fiction, which I tend not to gravitate towards. I don't like historical fiction all that much, and I know there's phenomenal historical fiction. I know many, many beautiful things have been written, and I know that I could like some of it. So tell me which historical fiction I should read. Maybe ideally not too lengthy, but you know, whatever. we're getting out of our comfort zone. So give me a recommendation. There will be many other things I will read, of course, throughout the year, ideally, but those are some concrete or semi-concrete projects I have for now. If you're a process girly and want to know how I'm going to do this reading, I think I'm going to try to do physical books as much as possible this year. I think I'm in that type of mood. I tend to do all of the above: ebook, physical, paper book, and audiobook, and like all three and have a pretty similar relationship to all three. But I think I want to hold objects right now. I'm in an object phase in my life. I am not liking audiobooks as much right now, also because I am deeply displeased with Everand and I'm not using it anymore. It's now terrible. So that also cuts my possible library of audiobooks significantly. I have been writing for the past, I guess 5 months in this journal, both my personal journal and also my reading journal. You've sort of probably seen it in previous videos. This is almost done. I don't start a new book at the beginning of the year. I'm not one of those people, but it just so happens that this is almost done. So probably in the next week or so, I will be starting my next book, and I will keep writing in a couple of different directions, from front to back, my daily journal entries, morning pages, and from back to front, citations and thoughts on books. If you're into pens, I tend to love the Stabilo 0.4 fine, and I'm also using a lot of the microns. I like the 0.3 and the 0.4. And in a new twist, I bought a bunch of tabs. We'll see. I got just a shitload of tabs. I'm not a tab boy, but new year, new me. I wanted something new. So now I'm just swimming in tabs. We'll see if in my new physical book life, I end up being one of those tabby girls. That's it. Those are the updates. I would love to know your opinions on what I should read and your help where I've asked for help, and also even where I haven't asked for help. I would love to know what your reading projects are, your intentions. I wish you a beautiful 2025, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.